I wanted to have something that I could answer very quickly if somebody asks, okay, so what is it that you do? That automatically made people disqualify themselves and say, this is not really for me. My typical answer is that I run a financial blind spot and I work with business owners and I help them answer four basic questions. What's my company worth? How do I protect it? How do I grow it? How do I transfer out when the time is right? And that is really all I do. Now, everything in terms of actual products or services falls within one of those four. And that that's like you say here, that's my framework. And once I deliver it like this, somebody who might be a high wage earner, but that doesn't run a business will typically say, oh, I see. So then I wouldn't be the right client for you. And I would say, yeah, most likely not.
Yeah.
It's different because everybody's just trying to position themselves as everything to everybody. I feel as though this framework right here, it helps me weed out the people that I don't want to work with. And it also allows me to initiate the conversation in a number of different ways. There's a lot of people who would be attracted to the growth part. There's a lot of people who are attracted to the valuation part. And then depending on where they are in their business, they might be interested in the transferring out part. So it allows me to jump into the conversation in a lot of different ways, depending on where that business owner is in their business cycle, if you will.
So do you have a different product or offering below each one of these in order to help answer that? Because it's almost like, how do I protect my business? Like I'm coming to you with a pain. I'm saying, I don't know how to protect it. I need some help, or I don't know what my company's worth. I really want to know. Like all of these are really pain-based questions where you know that somebody's trying to solve that problem. How do you have a product that you're going to be able to pitch them or help them with, or a service that you can help them with in terms of each one of these? Is that how you structured this, or what was the?
Yeah, it's how I structure it. Of course, the value builder system, it runs in the background of almost all of this. But for the valuation, I simply point them to the value builder questionnaire.
Yeah.
It gives them an estimate of value, and then I have a working relationship with Biz Equity to produce the actual valuations, and I go to great lengths to explain to them the difference between this valuation and a certified valuation, and when a certified valuation is required and when it's not. And I point out that Biz Equity powers the valuations for almost every bank out there that is doing business with business owners. So when the bank is running a valuation of your company, they are using Biz Equity to do that. So if it's good enough for the bank, it's good enough for me. So Biz Equity is my valuation tool, if you will, what I use to produce valuations. And I jump off of the estimate of value that is in the value builder questionnaire. That's my starting point. And then I can refine it with Biz Equity and provide them with an actual valuation. The protection conversation is usually one of the most interesting ones because I split it between insurable and non-insurable risks. And for the insurable risks portion, almost everybody is going to talk to them about it, but I put a lot of emphasis on the non-insurable risks because there's no specific product tied to them. And because compensation dictates behavior, it will get a lot of conversations around insurable risks and not so many around non-insurable risks. So I try to get them to move from premium-based insurance buying to process-based risk management. So for the growth conversation, it also runs on two tracks, whether you can scale or cannot or are not willing to scale. If you can scale, the conversation is about making yourself operationally irrelevant to the business, which, as you can see, ties very well with the hub and spoke concept of the value builder system, as well as the emphasis on standard operating procedures. If they cannot scale or are not willing to, then we're just going to focus on maximizing the compensation they derive from the business and using the company as a cash cow to acquire assets outside of the business.
Okay.
And then for transfer, again, 2 tracks, planned or unplanned. Planned transfers, everybody likes the stories of the acquirer that shows up with a big pile of cash and you ride off into the sunset. We also talk about, do you want it to be internal or external? So that's what you want in your mind's eye. Now let's talk about less pleasant things, unplanned transfers. What happens if this, that, or the third happens? How are you going to plan for that? Where's the money going to come from? And all of that. So these, when I'm talking about them, there's always a 5th question that I don't put in here, but that informs a lot of these decisions. And this 5th question is, how do I do all of this without overpaying in taxes? I am an enrolled agent. I do tax planning with my clients. I do not do tax preparation. It's not an interest of mine. But when I have this framework and then I put the tax component, it presents a pretty holistic picture to the person that I'm talking to. And then they get to, in a way, pick where they want to start.